Before we get into the latest New York Knicks news and rumors, Knicks Now is officially in a sub-battle with Boston Celtics today, another channel here at Chat Sports. At one point in time, we were down 7,000 subscribers to the C's. Now it's less than 200. Let's catch them on today's video, because once we cross Boston Celtics today, we get to continue to do more videos. More subs equals more videos, and right now, Celtics today and Will Scott, they're getting more studio time than us, and that pisses me off. I hate the Celtics, and I hate seeing them do better than me at my job. So help me out. Go down right now. Hit that big red button. You are watching New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. In today's show, we're going to react to the Marc Berman bombshell article that came out this weekend. He talked about Donovan Mitchell. He talked about RJ Barrett. He talked about Quentin Grimes and Tom Thibodeau. But the most, I would say, eye-catching thing that he said is that Tom Thibodeau prefers to keep Quentin Grimes over RJ Barrett in a Donovan Mitchell trade. This was that full quote. We'll break down what he had to say, but let's read it to you guys first, and then we'll talk about this report from Marc Berman. He said, Coach Tom Thibodeau is still keenly interested in making Mitchell a Knick, and has recently laid low, knowing the offseason work isn't complete. There is belief around the league that Thibodeau would prefer to give up Barrett in a deal rather than shooting guard Quentin Grimes, who is coming off of a solid rookie year in a summer league in which he looked quicker and more sculpted. Grimes is a better defender and three-point shooter than Barrett. And as we know, Tom Thibodeau pushed really hard for Quentin Grimes to be selected by the New York Knicks coming out of Houston in that draft. But if this is true, and it sucks that I have to say if this is true, because I don't want to believe that Marc Berman is able to report that Tom Thibodeau wants to keep Quentin Grimes over RJ Barrett in a Donovan Mitchell trade. The whole point of getting Donovan Mitchell is to pair him alongside a 22-year-old RJ Barrett, Jalen Brunson, and Mitchell Robinson, and have those four guys on your roster for the next 6, 7, 8 years, as they are all under 25 years old right now. I guess we have to look at some stats and compare RJ Barrett and Quentin Grimes, because that's who the Knicks are deciding on who to give up. We all know RJ Barrett right now is a better basketball player. I mean, at age 21 last year, he averaged 20 points per game, 3 assists, almost 6 rebounds, and shot less than just around 41% from the deck and 34% from three. And I don't mean to shit on Quentin Grimes, but he's not even close to the player that RJ Barrett is. And I love QG. From Houston, he's where I'm from, went to Kansas, 5-star recruit, didn't work out, transferred to UH, made him really good, brought him into the tournament, and he worked his way into the NBA. Looked really good as a rookie. He played in games where he played more minutes, he produced more, but his total season averages are just 6 points, 1 assist, 2 rebounds, but he shot 38% from beyond the three-point arc as a rookie. He has potential. He's a 3-and-D guy. He's a winning piece. But RJ Barrett has the potential to be a face of a franchise, and he's been that so far through his first 3 years in the NBA. The thing that I love about RJ is he's gotten better every single year. Every year he went into the league, the beginning of the league year, trying to get better at something. His rookie year, 14 points, 2.5 assists, 40% from the field, 32 from the deck. Not all that efficient. Came into a sophomore season, said, I'm going to be an efficient basketball player. And he was. 44% from the deck, 40% from three on 17.5 points per night. Went into year 3 and said, I want to average 20 points per game. He did that. And he was so good that in the second half of the season, he showed why he was the player that was selected 3rd overall out of Duke. In the final 42 games of the regular season, he averaged almost 24 points per game, nearly 4 assists, 41% from the deck, and 34% from three. RJ Barrett has all-star and all-NBA potential. Quentin Grimes is a piece that's a piece on a winning team that's a starter and a contributor. I understand why Utah would want RJ, but we know they don't want to cash somebody out. I love RJ. I love Quentin Grimes. I hate that I have to decide between the two, so I'm not going to do so. So I'm going to ask you. I'm going to take the easy way out. But if you watch the show, you know the guy that I'm keeping. This is a Broadway Barrett, Star J Barrett type of show. We rep for our guys, number 9. But I'll ask you, if you could only keep one of these guys in a Donovan Mitchell trade, who is it? Type 9 for RJ or type 6 for Quentin Grimes? Some other stuff coming from that Marc Berman article. He said the Knicks are concerned about giving up too many assets in a trade for Donovan Mitchell. And bravo, thank you for being a competent franchise. You don't want to sell the farm. But I do think you need to realize what too many assets is. So let's take a look at what the Knicks have to offer. They have 10 players on their roster right now, younger than the age of 25. Miles McBride, RJ Barrett, Cam, Quentin, IQ, Jericho, Obi, Mitchell, Isaiah, and Jalen Brunson, all under the age of 25. So maybe you don't want to give up a lot of players. Well, you also got a boatload of draft capital. You have 11 first-round picks in the next 7 years. And in that same time frame, you have 11 second-round picks. So you have 22 draft selections over the next 7 years, with potentially 4 first-round picks in this upcoming draft in 2023, a first-round pick in 2024, and a second-round or two first-round picks in 2025. So you have 11 first-round picks over the next 7 years, and you have 10 players currently on your roster younger than 25 years old. At some point, you will have to consolidate assets. So the idea that you don't want to give up too much is awesome. Thank you for being a competent franchise, and shout out to Leon the Don. But at the same time, you don't want to miss out on an opportunity to trade for Donovan Mitchell, a 25-year-old budding superstar that's already won multiple playoff series, averages 28 points per game in the playoffs. He is a primetime player, and you don't want to be too stingy and miss out on the opportunity to trade for Mitchell, and he's down in South Beach being your rival for the next 10 years. You don't want that to happen. So play it smart, but don't play it too safe and too cheap. I also thought this quote from Marc Berman was pretty eye-grabbing. He said, according to multiple industry sources, what a term, according to multiple industry sources. What are we talking about, Rap-A-Lot Records here? He said the Knicks were turned off by Utah team president Danny Ainge's initial demands when he asked in July for a package of 7 first-round picks and players. And of course, talks died. But recently, there has been renewed back and forth. The Knicks' major concern, according to sources, is giving away too many future assets, which could leave them stuck in an area for below championship contention. 7 first-round picks and young players is BS, and you walk away from that deal right away if that's what Danny Ainge wants. And that's what Leon Rose did, because recently Shams Charania reported that talks re-engaged. But Tony Jones, as well as other people connected to the situation, said that the Utah Jazz reached out to the New York Knicks. And I think that's very important, because that's telling. And that's telling you something, that they want to trade Donovan Mitchell, and they want to trade him to the New York Knicks, because all the other trade offers out there can't come close to what the Knicks can offer. The Knicks C offer is better than the Washington Wizards A offer. The Knicks B offer is better than almost anybody else's offer for Donovan Mitchell. The Jazz, they want to trade him. And the Knicks, they don't want to sell the farm, and that's smart. If Danny Ainge said, I want 7 first-round picks and Emmanuel Quickly, Quentin Grimes, and Obi Toppin, I'm blocking his number, I'm hanging up, and I'm never speaking to him again. That's absolute BS. Danny Ainge is acting like a fraud. He's acting stingy, and it's pissing me off that we're in month 2 of this trade debate. At this point, just type FDA in the comments section. If you hate Danny Ainge, just type FDA. The dude's a clown. He's trying to fleece the Knicks, but the Knicks, with Leon the Don, they ain't being fleeced. That's a fact. They're not giving up the farm. They're not going to do it. So quit asking. Shout out to Nick Saban. But type FDA in the comments section if you want to just show some love for me and show some hate, I guess more so, for Danny Ainge. Also, for all the real ones out there, I want to just say thank you to all the people that have bought their shirt already. We're going to show every single person that has sent me a picture rocking their Knicks Real One gear on the next New York Knicks Now. And if you want to be a real one, like a real one, and rock some Real One Knicks Now merchandise, go to chatsports.com/realknicks. I'll put the link to that in the comments and description of today's show. Marc Berman also talked about the Knicks and what they would be after they traded for Donovan Mitchell. So we will talk about it. We'll pull some quotes up. Are the Knicks contenders in the Eastern Conference if they land Donovan Mitchell in a trade? This is what Marc Berman had to say. He said, adding Mitchell, the Knicks believe they would be good enough for a 10-game leap from 37 wins to 47 victories. That would put them straight into the playoffs as a viable second-round threat. They are excited that a backcourt tandem of Jalen Brunson and Mitchell with RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson in the front court, and Derrick Rose and Emmanuel Quickley as the top 2 guards off the bench would make them a top 6 team in the Eastern Conference. So let's break this down because those are some pretty interesting notes. He mentioned Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, Derrick Rose, Emmanuel Quickley. Very interesting names that he mentioned. Who did he not mention? Obi Toppin. He didn't mention Quentin Grimes. He didn't mention Cam Reddish. So are these the guys that the Knicks have deemed as off limits? You're not trading Jalen Brunson. You can't trade him until January or December, even if you want to. I hope you're not trading RJ Barrett. Does this mean that the Knicks think they should keep Julius Randle and your starting 5 should be Brunson, Mitchell, Barrett, Randle, and Mitchell Robinson with Derrick Rose and Quickley coming off the bench? The names mentioned were interesting because we would have thought that after the report came out that Tom Thibodeau wanted to keep RJ Barrett over Quentin Grimes, that the Knicks believe that Quentin Grimes would be a part of that top 6 players on the roster. So a whole bunch of smoke, a whole bunch of circus show coming out of that article of Marc Berman. I don't know what to make of it because I think he contradicts himself in the article. He reported that sources in the NBA are saying that Tom Thibodeau would rather keep Grimes over Barrett. And that last quote we showed you, he heard from people from the Knicks that they believe that Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, Derrick Rose, and Emmanuel Quickley make you a top 6 team. They didn't mention Grimes. They didn't mention Quickley. So a whole bunch of things to take from this article. I don't know what's fact. It's a whole bunch of smoke. We're going on month 2 of these Donovan Mitchell talks. Where there's smoke, there's fire. I still think he gets traded. I just don't know when. I think it's closer and closer that we get to training camp. But I'll ask you this question before we bounce on out of here. Will this roster of Brunson, Mitchell, Barrett, Randle, Mitchell Robinson, Derrick Rose, Emmanuel Quickley make you a top 6 seed in the Eastern Conference? The Knicks think yes. I want to hear from you, though. Type Y for yes, type N for no. I also want to give a shout out to all of the real ones. The real ones buy the shirts, and the real ones, they finish all the videos because they're real ones. If you made it this far in today's video, drop a real one in the comments section, and we'll see you later on the next New York Knicks Now.